Okay, how's it going, everyone? Mike the Warhost here, going through a very creepy haunted swamp, which is rather poignant today because we are taking a look at the court of the Nazombu posse. The court of the Nazombu comes in at a hefty 670 points, getting you a bit past the halfway mark for a tournament-sized list. The posse's theme bonus will grant all Nazombu faces the Shrouded special rule, as well as any unit within 6 inches of them. This is the important part of the bonus, as all of the Nazombu faces already come with Shrouded. In order to get this bonus, however, the posse will need to have at least 6 Nazombu units in it. At the time of recording, the only Nazombu options available outside the posse box are the Nazombu Snake and Opie. If you want to maximize your Shrouded options, then you're stuck with Opie for the time being. If that's less of a requirement for you, then at least you have one other option to choose from. While giving nearly blanket access to Shrouded seems like the posse's big bonus, it's actually not the most important thing about the court's playstyle. It's mobility. Posse comes with 2 faces that have the ability to generate portals on top of the hexalith provided by Marie Laveau. On top of that, both Cleo, the Nazombu crone, and Santiago come with the Tainted Tunnels rule, which allows you to add an additional Profane Nest to your list, in his slot for the required points cost. Add in the additional Profane Nest you can buy as a strategic unit, and you potentially end up with 8 portals open and usable in the first turn of the game. And for added benefit, the Profane Nest will also allow you to have units coming out of reserves within 3 inches of the nest. Since the nests use the initial deployment rule, you can put them close enough to your opponent's deployment zone to keep them occupied right at the start of the game. Before we start talking about specific units and putting together a list, we need to have a brief chat about a Nazombu-specific mechanic that will be familiar to some. The Curse of the Nazombu will allow you to resurrect a recently deceased Nazombu unit, just like Carpathogen. You need to have another unit within 6 inches to use it, and at least 1 available fortune to bring them back. The resurrected unit will have the reanimated condition, but it is possible. Everyone in the court of the Nazombu box, aside from Santiago, has this rule, so your force will be a lot harder to put down than it may appear at first glance. Now that we have all that out of the way, let's talk about what exactly you're getting in the box and what they can do. Marie Laveau is a support boss primarily. While she can hold her own in a fight, she's best used by providing buffs to your other units and debuffs to your opponents. She comes with Sawbones, allowing nearby units to reroll failed grid checks, as well as Enervate to try robbing other units of their fortune. She also comes with Dark Council, providing a free hexalith for additional fortune and portal shenanigans, as well as the ability to compel other tainted units. Rounding out her support abilities is the Curse of the Nazombu, ability to resurrect other units. Keep in mind this only applies to Nazombu units. Enlightened hands will not be able to be resurrected by this. While her Hex Bolt can do some damage, its short range is less than ideal for an offensive weapon. Now for some fun. Cemetery Criminal is going to become every outlaw player's new best friend. Not only does he have 2 fortune to use for himself, as well as Headhunter providing more, as well as Curse of the Nazombu, but he also has a Shadow Portal weapon that can be used to generate more portals. Currently, the only outlaw units able to generate portals are Annabelle Hamilton, a boss of that team player, and John Wesley Harden, a hard-to-find model. So more options are always useful. Cemetery Criminal also comes with Dispersed Deployment, so he can be placed in a prime location for portals right at the outset. This combined with Shrouded means getting units in position much easier at the start of the game. And to top it off, he also has Gambler, so getting rid of low action point cards is that much easier. Cleo, the Nazombu crone, is a support face primarily with access to a few different toys. As mentioned above, she is another source for Profane Nests, as well as an Angry Mob thanks to Rabble Rouser. If you decide to go the Angry Mob route, however, be careful how you place your Profane Nests, as Berserker will force them to attack those if they're close enough. She does have leashed ability, so she can potentially get a nice boost to one of her stats if she gets lucky with one of her Hex Bolts. Zora, the Nazombu Oracle, is a more offensive face, another source of portals, and a great source of some of the more useful Hex trickery. She has Fate Weaver for manipulation of either your or your opponent's action or adventure decks, as well as Rapport for additional civilians, and the potential for movement shenanigans with the crit effects on her weapons. She's also one of your few long-range options and your only source of blast weapons. Her Telekind Smite and Shadow Portal both have a 12-inch range, and both weapons will force your enemy targets to move thanks to Drag and Displace. And to top things off, Zora also has elusive, making it easier for her to dart in and out of melee without getting hit. Jacques Santiago comes with both metal and impervious, making him tough to bring down. His bull rush rule will make getting into melee much easier, and he's your only source for torrent weapons in the box. Like the bigger creations, Jacques has forceful strike to make one melee attack really hurt. Frenzy will give him the opportunity to get a few more swings in, and Volatile will make charging him with larger units much riskier. He does only have an ROA of 1 on all of his weapons, as well as a low mind of 2, so he won't be able to do that much damage if he's compelled by your opponent. Oh, and he's also a mutation, so he can join up with the Titanium Biology Posse very easily. And with that, we move on to the meat and potatoes of the video, how to build an effective tournament list. And there are a few different routes you can take with this, so you'll need to plan things out a bit. If you look at the themed posse cards, you'll notice that there are no and or slots. You'll need to decide what you want to do, your list to do first. You can go the full mobility route and maximize your profane nests, but that gets expensive very quickly and you'll find yourself without enough units available to make the investment worthwhile. I recommend sticking with just one profane nest and relying on the hexalith and regular portals for movement. Another point to consider is spirit apparitions. You technically have 4 slots for spirit apparitions, 2 in the posse, 1 in the hexalith, and 1 for Marie Laveau. The spectral summoning ability that Marie and the hexalith have will be useful in getting them up the board, but their split personality rule and grid of 4 combined with volatile means building a force around them will be risky for the most part. The final point to consider is how many Confederate units to add in. Slots 3, 5, and 6 are open to various Confederate units to shore up any specific weak points. However, in order to get the posse bonus, one of these slots will have to be sacrificed for the 6th Nazombu unit, if you want the posse bonus. And trust me, you really want this posse bonus. You'll have to decide which Confederate unit type to give up. If you want to include a cheap Enlightened Hands horde as well, this will take up another Nazombu slot and further restrict how many Confederate units you have available. For my example list, I've decided to add in a Nazombu snake in slot 4, giving up the potential for a horde of constructed menials to pop out of a profane nest. I've also opted out of getting any profane nests for this list, as they currently aren't available and this list is designed to be used in tournaments. Boss slot goes to Marie Laveau, obviously, as well as her hexalith and a trio of spirit apparitions. They'll be kept in reserve and taking advantage of spectral summoning to appear close to either one, depending on where they'll be needed. Slots 1 and 2 are pretty straightforward. Cemetery Criminal, Cleo, and Zora will be here to free up space later on down the list for other units. Slot 3 is where the fun begins. Here we're bringing Tobias Franklin and a pair of rocket pod equipped K9 gun dogs in our Confederate face slot. Tobias will bring some long-range pain with his thermite shredder, as well as teamwork for some chain activation goodness and free focusing for the gun dogs. The rocket pods bring more blast templates to keep opponents from using Quick in the Dead. Weapon variety is important, people. Don't rely on just Gatling guns to get the job done. Slot 4, as discussed earlier, goes to the Nazombu Snake, while Slot 5 is reserved for Jacques Santiago. Slot 6 will go to Wendell Lee for some additional Sawbones access, as well as Fortune Trickery with Enervate and some additional Compelling should the need arise. This will put you at 1,190 points and ready to roll. Using this list in the game is fairly straightforward. Use Cemetery Criminal and Zora to generate portals early on, send the rest of your posse through them with the Hexalith, and keep the Nazombu faces close by the other units to share the shrouded benefit. Be sure to use Court of the Nazombu whenever possible to keep people out in the fight. Don't be afraid to use Fate Weaver to help out on occasion either. That can really mean the difference between victory and defeat. So there you have it. The Court of the Nazombu posse in a nutshell. There's plenty of hex trickery for just about anybody and just enough variety in your unit options to give you a balanced force. Well, that's going to do it for me today. Stay tuned for more game discussions, battle reports, opinion tutorials, and more. Take care, everyone. Okay, now I don't know what I just stepped in, but it moved. A lot. That's not good. I didn't... What exactly kind of animal makes that noise? Do I really want to know? Like, do I really want to know, or should I just get the hell out of here as quickly as I can?